Marty, if you would.
Michaela Conlon-View. Casey Weiss.
Here.
Jeanette Simonson.
Present.
Nick Helsted.
Here.
Iftikhar Memon. And Brad Dobbs.
Here. All right, and has this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it is.
All right, and there's no one signed up for public comment tonight? Okay, I move to shift items 9.2, 9.4, and 8.1 to be the next items up because we have a number of guests with us this evening.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Kent, that makes you next.
Can we just confirm? Justin, you started the live stream.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
because we're used to public comment in that.
Hello? Is this on? I don't think I need it.
It's for the recording, not to
Okay.
amplify your voice here in the room. You're fine. Yeah,
All right, there we go.
we hear you, Ken.
So Kent Wyman, Buildings and Grounds Supervisor. Just presenting the annual budget. This is what Jill and I have been working on. I think you have what I do up there. First order would be the bus garage, seal coat and stripe. We're just trying to prolong the life of that fresh blacktop over there. District-wide, we have listed concrete needs, which are just us in-housing things. Flooring needs is at $50,000 district-wide. I try to get 2 classrooms per building. You can usually get 2 classrooms of carpet per building. We might switch at the high school or middle school. Sometimes we switch from the carpet to LVT or something like that. Probably not LVT, but another product. So that's just district-wide flooring. Interior doors, we have $10,000 set aside. That is more for just as things as they come up. $6,000 in painting, that's in-house as well, along with the ceiling tile replacement. We try to do all that in the summer. To the next page, we have Forest Street. The Circle Playground out back, we'd like to try to get an overlay on that, hoping that's enough money. The sinking cabinetry built-ins, that would be in-house as well. We have some smaller sections we think we can in-house through Menards. Blinds for classrooms are listed. That's hopefully covers the entire kindergarten wing. Looking at the playground, anyone who's super distracted is our first, and then whatever money we have left, we'll keep moving on. Then we have the interior cameras and repair the rubber surface. The cameras always come in a little higher than we hope, so hopefully the $12,000 covers both those cameras. Moving on to the high school, we have the north entrance doors. That would be the exterior doors only for replacement. We have budgeted $100,000 for Tiger Lane reconstruction. I'm meeting with Matthew in the next couple, this week or next. We're gonna see how far we can get with that $100,000. If it feels like it's not gonna be enough, I would hope, Jill and I talked, maybe we save that money for next summer and back to back it like we've done with roof projects. So we're gonna see how far we get with that $100,000. Moving on to the middle school, we have some windows to be replaced. We did most of those upstairs windows have been completed. We did the ones kind of overlooking from the LMC. We just have a few small areas left to do. That would be in-house as well. The fire alarm panel, that's a big expenditure, $30,000. Furniture for the LGI, we actually deal with Kyle is Duet. The KI is the manufacturer, and they're one of the only manufacturers of this sloped. If you guys been in the middle school LGI, it's that sloped room. They're one of the few manufacturers that actually designs that sloped furniture. So he's coming out to look, give us an idea of what we can do in there. I know Dan's looking forward to using that room because it's definitely not utilized right now to what it could be. Besides that, we have cameras at the middle school. Also, you know, that's $12,000. That's hopefully the 2 cameras, gym storage doors, the seal coating, the upper playground that was just recently done as well. We're trying to seal coat as much as we can around just to protect our investment. Moving on to Red Creek, they have this is on top of the district-wide flooring. They have $12,500 set aside to replace the flooring outside of their cubbies that has been really beat down. We did the other end before, and then they have the security cameras additions as well, and that is our entire budget.
So a couple things, just background. Kent and I do meet with the building principals, and we talk about their wish lists and wants and things that they see on a daily basis or staff have reported to them. So we did meet with the principals. We did do walk around their buildings. These things have all been on our list, and where they land, it's just in relationship to other projects and what we feel that we can push off or what's a higher priority. One thing, for example, I just wanted to add on to something Kent said, the sink cabinetry at 4th Street, those are original sinks and cabinets. They're still the vibrant colors that they were back from 1872. And so some of those are in pretty rough shape. Besides replacing them, we hope to add a little bit of cabinetry space because at that younger level, it seems like our teachers have a lot more stuff too. So helping do that on a basis where we can do a few every year is kind of our hope. With the guys doing it, inside and not having to hire contractors, that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and we usually get stuff that matches pretty good at Menards and try to build it into their classroom. And we get pretty good deals on it, especially some of the stuff is just standard, so we can throw it up and not have to special order anything. That makes a huge difference in cost. One of the other things this spring is we're finishing up the air handler at the pool, so that will be, it's set, it's in place. When the weather warms up, we're not going to put a hole in the wall quite yet, but that is one of the bigger projects that was on my list since I got this job, was to get that pool. That's been weighing on my mind, and that's one of the huge check marks that's been kind of like a win, because that could have won at any time. The other one for future is that Gebhardt boiler. We've talked about it for years, and at some point we're going to have to address that as well. Those were two of the things that when I started, I'm like, we're living on borrowed time already. So just so we're aware.
So Kent, that boiler piece, I'm assuming when you do that, you're probably going to have some asbestos remediation that would happen in that area too?
So in the Gebhardt?
Yeah.
Yes, and so I actually have kind of been in touch with CISA about this, just because we meet on a regular basis, and you would have to demo that boiler if we were going to take it out anyways, and the asbestos crew can do the demolition, and it would probably be the exact same price as having the other crew come in and demo the boiler. We would just have the asbestos crew do the whole thing, so then we're covered on the asbestos side instead of them attempting to scrape the asbestos off and then have the boiler crew come in. You just do it as one big shot.
I was just curious, is there like a roof plan too, or do you guys do like an annual roof audit to see if there's spots that need to be addressed?
So we have 3 main roof sections to do, and they're kind of budgeted out in the following summers after this. And there's a section, the original section at Gebhardt would be due, and then the Sam Young gym and the West gym are our 3 like boom, 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 and then we would be back basically to the rotation of when I started. Like we will be caught up for a bit, but then we'll have to start over with, which is crazy to say, but yeah, we'd be starting over with where I started at. So
Even when you're talking about the projects at Red Creek, there was quite a few years where we didn't need to do a lot of the annual capital maintenance at Red Creek. When you think about next year, we'll be starting its 9th year in that building. That feels like the brand new school. Yes. So, and I guess in school life, 9 is still brand new. But.
yeah, but that's where you get kind of behind the 8 ball too. We didn't do any carpet replacement for the first 4 or 5 years there. So then all of a sudden it's all coming at once. And we talk about that with like you get a grant to do a bunch of roofs, which is awesome at the time, but then that bill all comes back at the same time. You have 4 roofs to do at once. So if we can space it all out, it works much better for our financials.
Some of the major, think about your roof plan that Kent was talking about. We also have windows and we have asphalt is a huge piece of our capital maintenance projects, and trying to extend the life by, yeah, we just did that parking lot, but seal coating it so it extends it even longer, right? I mean, that's just one of the things you're supposed to do. So we try to do that if we can to extend that life of that asphalt so we're not reconstructing that in 10 years either, so.
I feel like our 3 roofs that are left are probably going to be less of an expense than the blacktop that's going to come due over the next 5 to 10. So,
How many years are you getting out of the rubber roof, I assume it is, right?
so the roof that Tremco applied, that fluid applied roof, that's supposed to be about a 30-year roof, and if we have them come back and recoat it, we can get another 20 out of that roof. But some of the roofs that I found that to be too expensive to do, so we put back on the ballast roof. That's only a 15 to 20-year roof sometimes. So
But it's a third of the cost.
it's a
right?
third of the cost, maybe a quarter, depending on what roof you're going over, the style of roof that you're going over. So, any other questions?
Otherwise, we need to approve this.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Question,
All
Mike?
right.
Thanks, Ken.
Next in budgeting, Christie, we're gonna talk about buses. Bus, singular, I should say.
She tried every which way to talk about buses.
I did notice there were 2 different kinds of buses here. so
Let's
that's
talk
my
about
question.
buses. No,
And then approve a bus.
yeah. So I did send out requests for both a conventional school bus and for the special education lift bus. Bids were sent to Ascendance, which we all know as Midstate, so I will probably make the mistake and call them Midstate. In Marshfield, Wisconsin Bus Sales in DeForest, and Nelson Bus Service in Whitewater. Ascendance was the only one that sent us a bid this year. That bid was received by our requested deadline of Wednesday. So the bid for the 2026 72-passenger conventional bus is $131,000 this year. The bid for what they have on the lot was a 2024 21-passenger lift bus, which came in at $104,900. So with the fact that we can't, it's not in the budget for us to buy 2 buses. So the fact that we can only pick one of the 2, we do need to go ahead and look at replacing one of our conventional buses for the bid price of that $131,000 plus title and registration. So that total cost, $131,169.50. So that is the amount that we have planned in our transportation budget for next year. And the purchase and the delivery would occur on or after July 1st of this year. If we have additional funds that become available from somewhere else, another project doesn't happen, or there's end of year funds available, we would plan to purchase an additional bus or buses at that time to try to catch up on our replacement cycle. Unfortunately, we're really far behind on replacing our buses. Jill, I didn't have a printout of that sheet that I sent you. I don't know if you have it handy.
I think I can find it.
So our goal is to replace buses when they are 10 years old. So with 20 conventional buses in our fleet, we're looking at replacing 2 buses every year. And at that 10-year mark, they're usually about 120,000 miles on each one of those units. 9-10 years ago, we were very fortunate to have some extra money in the budget at that time, and we were able to get additional units. And kind of like what Kent was saying, it's kind of nice when you have that extra money at the time, but it catches up to you eventually. So we have, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm thinking maybe 6 or 7 units that on our 10-year replacement cycle, we would have already replaced. So we are quite far behind with that, but we're doing what we can with the money that's available.
I'm not finding it quickly, Christy,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
What about the lift buses? How many of those are at the 10-year mark or older, do you know?
We try to replace those probably more like at 7 or 8 years. They're just not built the way that the conventional buses are. They're on a truck, they're on a lighter chassis and they tend to rust out from the bottom a little bit more quickly. So on this list, it shows 7 buses that are 11 and 12 years in service now. So like I said, a little bit far behind. And then if we scroll down, I think the lift buses are at the bottom of this list. So we have 2 of them that are 10, 1 that's 9, and 1 that's 8 years in service.
So you typically choose the one with the highest mileage, or are you basing off of like maintenance, potential
Well,
maintenance
it's
expenses?
all taken into consideration. Age, years in service, mileage, the maintenance, that we've been doing on it. It doesn't make sense to hang on to this one because we just rebuilt an engine for $7,000, so we should maybe hang on to it for another year and get some more use out of it. So all of those factors are taken into consideration.
You've been buying from Mid-State or Ascension in the past, it seems like, right?
Yes, our entire fleet right now are international units.
I think that's a factor in why the others don't respond to our bid requests.
So several years ago, they had said we used to do this in May, and they said we can't meet your timeline. If we don't do this bid process until May, there's no way we can get you a unit in July or August. So then that's when a few years ago we started doing it now in January, and last year all 3 of them submitted bids, but this year Mid-State was the only one. So.
If you have 20 buses, how many of them get used like every day?
So we have 15 of them are used every morning, every night. So we have 5 spare conventional buses. 3 of our 4 lift buses are used every morning, every night. 1 of them is used an additional 2 times per day. So with all of our buses running, we have 21 different routes each day, 40 routes total when we look at AM, midday, and PM that are running.
It doesn't take very many after-school activities to suck up those 5 extra buses.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
We're appreciative of the number of coaches that will take the big diamond vans and drive their own teams when possible. We're very appreciative.
Any other questions? Otherwise, again, looking for approval.
I'll move to purchase a conventional bus.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Christie.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Tech Ed and Agriculture presenting this evening. Looks like we have the whole crew here tonight.
Thanks for moving us up on the agenda. Appreciate it.
Standing in front of you guys.
All right, you can move on to the next slide.
All right, I'm Brad Markart, the agricultural education teacher. Can you hear me in the microphone? Agriculture education teacher at the middle school and the high school, and also I advise the FFA chapter.
Hi, I'm Jaron Cassidy. I'm a technology education teacher at the high school. I also am the advisor for the super mileage vehicle and robotics teams.
Hi, I'm Eli School. I'm a tech ed teacher at the high school, and I also advise Skills USA, and I coach football, basketball, and baseball.
Hello, my name's Dan Stilling. I'm the new guy. I replaced Brian Stevenper after 31 years. I also coach soccer and the head girls wrestling coach.
They were excited about you because there was all caps and exclamation marks, so that was...
All right, so this is between ag and technology education. There's 22 high school courses taught, so we're proud of the amount of offerings that we have available for our students. And you can see there that some courses are new. We're always trying to kind of update and have some new offerings as needed. And many of them are worth college credit, and more on that in one of the future slides here.
So I am the middle school teacher. I teach all grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. So this is a little about what we do. In 6th grade, we do some mechanical computer-aided design. So they get to use the laser engraver to laser engrave their then giant clothespins that they make. So then from there, or at the start of the year, we do measurement. So they learn how to measure. And then we do some other stuff. And then we get into the tool and safety usage, which then they use the laser engraver and then make their clothespins. 7th grade, it's all architectural for the most part. We start the year doing individual projects though. They get to make speakers, which is through a grant that Ashley Furniture gives us. And then from there, we do handwritten architecture, and then they go online to do it as well. And then in 8th grade, again, Ashley Furniture provides us with a project for them. They make ukuleles, which is always fun. And then from there, we get into engineering and manufacturing. At the end of the year or end of the trimester, they get to build their own projects that they have to research, come up with ideas, vote on it, and then build them.
And you'll notice we have a 7th grade exploring agri-science class as well.
All right, so these are all the courses that we transcribe with both Western Technical College and also CVTC. So there's a number of courses there. I believe it's 8 that are between the tech, knowledge education, and agriculture ed department. So we're proud to, offer a lot of our courses at the college level for our students.
Those courses also count for cum laude points as well, which is awesome too. And then I have a number of agriculture classes that also meet the 3rd credit of science graduation requirement as well.
So in many of our classes, we have different certificates that we can have our kids earn. One of the things that I had kids do before is the OSHA 10, where they have a bunch of videos and quizzes that they have to take and get them certified, which is required by Western for some of their construction classes to take.
Yeah, I'll just mention the industry certifications through ICEV, an advanced agriculture class. It's a new class that we were able to offer just starting last year. And it's really great because there's a lot of student choice there. It's self-paced to an extent. They've got to complete it in the trimester, but a lot of great opportunity for some industry certified credentials in ag ed.
Just as an aside, while they're talking about all those industry credentials for the board members, remember on the last page of the state report card, it shows you how many of our students are earning transcripted credits, how many are earning industry recognized credentials while still in high school. And I think our CTE areas really shine in that area. So many of our teachers choose to work with the technical colleges to get those classes articulated so that students can earn high school credit, they can earn post-secondary credit, so those credits are theirs. Free of charge to take with them in wherever they decide to go to school after high school. And as Mr. Markert pointed out, there are also cum laude points towards graduating with honors. And so for the number of offerings of courses we have, the percentage of them that are for transcripted credits is extremely strong in our region, extremely strong. So I think that's a fantastic value for our community as well.
And sometimes, like, I was down just kind of recertifying my ability to do a metalworking 2 course to transcribe that with a class. I was down at Western last spring and realized that, why am I not transcribing my metalworking 1 class with this class? And then the instructor was like, you can actually put both of these classes in that class. You're already teaching everything. So sometimes we realize we're already doing the things that we need. And now my students in my metalworking 1 class, which gets taught often, they're earning 4 college credits every time they get a C or better. So
Excellent.
We've got some awesome career technical student organizations, CTSOs we call them. FFA, we are an affiliated chapter, which means we pay a fee, and every student that is in an agriculture education class then is automatically an FFA member. It's a wonderful opportunity for students. It removes financial hurdles. There's no dues they have to pay then, and it really helps us to to fully embrace the three-circle model of ag education, which would be the classroom, their individual projects that they do, we call those the SAEs, Supervised Agricultural Experiences, and then the FFA, those great leadership opportunities that students have through that organization.
So Skills USA is not just a tech ed program, it's just a labor contests where it includes like barbering, job interviews, just being able to publicly speak. These are great things that will help no matter what career they choose rather than just building a house.
You know, Eli mentioned barbering, and it came up during our PLC today, which is a great, great opportunity to do some networking. And I had mentioned, talking about different students, and one of my advisees had mentioned about going to barber college, which was kind of unique. And then these guys right away said, oh, did you know we've got a contest in skills for that? So I guarantee you when we have school again, I'll be talking to that student and letting them know about that neat opportunity that I didn't realize there was as well.
Yeah, and that contest is at it's the Alliant Energy Center. Am I saying that right? Yeah, down in Madison. So it's kind of a big event where you can do that. Then Challenge USA is where the students can do super mileage vehicle. That's where they build a car and compete for fuel economy. And the robotics club is new this year. I'm trying to get students to kind of get things together to be able to go and do competitions with Vex robots. So right now it's really, we had to carve out a space somewhere in the tech ed department and build a field to be able to practice with. I've got a picture of it that you'll see soon. So that's getting up and running. Okay, so I think this is the tech ed one. So this is our, we have a lot of community partners. We're always trying to grow this list, but we rely on our community partners for things like guest speaking, field trips, getting students out maybe their senior year and doing work-based learning, maybe equipment or supply donations. I'm looking at doing some field trips here soon, so I'll be contacting Nick. I've got a couple of metalworking classes that like to get out and see just possible places where they might be able to work in the future. So yeah, but a long list there, and again, we're wanting to grow that. It's kind of something we want to do.
Yeah, and this just kind of keeps on rolling, right? Just it's very humbling to live in a community where so many people are willing to share with students and enthusiastically share with students. It is an awesome thing, you guys. And something, as I talk to other people from other parts of the state and further, I really do love to highlight. I think that's just an awesome thing we've got going on in our community.
So I think we have generous budgets that we're happy with, but sometimes we want to do something that's above and beyond. Maybe start something new, like getting Vex Robotics going was very expensive, so I have had to rely on Perkins grants for that, Ashley Furniture grants, and that sort of thing. Sometimes like places like BRF Municipal Utilities will just show up and say, hey, would you like some money to buy equipment that can teach electronics in the classroom? Yes, absolutely. So, Brad, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, no, just right. It's just the same thing. Just humbling to have people, just like Jaron pointed out, that'll just say, "We've got some money for you," and it is just incredibly wild. The other thing that I just want to point out that I really, really, really appreciate is that Perkins federal grant. I look back on my years here and just the number of opportunities that has given students, and so anytime that I hear that that comes up in Congress and we're reconsidering it and things, that's definitely something that I promote as being a very, very important part of allowing my students to be able to do some great hands-on activities. I can keep going here on this one too, right? So we just wanted to let you know, facilities, right? Our facilities are a big thing for us in tech ed because this is where the magic happens. This is where the students are able to get their hands-on learning. The activity area, we're expanding into that new part over there that I got kids working on. We just, we're gonna make cranberry beds in there, and I won't go into, because I could keep talking a long time on this, right, and I won't. But just some really great opportunities. A living wall in the commons area, what a beautiful, wonderful thing on so many different levels as far as beautifying the space and giving students opportunity to learn skills and practice skills.
You'll see this picture in a couple slides. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is my facilities. So I have 3 rooms all right next to each other, and it's been actually super nice to have because my classes come from having 20 plus to having 10, right? And having those 20 plus classes and having 3 rooms, I can definitely space out the kids. That makes the learning better for them, but also easier to manage for me. So I have 3 really, really nice spaces. I got my classroom, my workshop, and then the computer lab, which is also the middle school VEX program, uses it for their work.
Right, so something there new in that upper left picture would be the VEX robotics. That was a hard area to kind of carve out. It's 12 by 12, so just a big space to be able to have this kind of housed, you know, kind of permanently. So we had to figure out a place for that, and the students in the club helped me build the walls and put together the floor tiles and everything. So that's kind of a new thing in the, like, as of like 2025, a new thing in the tech ed department. I think you can go on to the next slide. Just have more pictures here. So there's just a metalworking lab there, picture of I have really nice big booths for the students to learn in, and then area on the floors to be able to build those bigger projects like that trailer there. So very happy with my facility.
Yeah, so the buildings on the right side are what we build in a construction class. This helps satisfy our transcripted credit requirements. The CNC machine, we've had a couple people use it. It's mainly used in our Woods 2 class. We're having a lot of great projects, which I'll explain later in a future slide. So last year I thought it'd be great for us to be able to display what kids are making and how they're doing in tech ed. This is where I post like what projects they're building, if there's any activities, Skills USA results, if anybody places. Just allows for the public to see what we're doing.
And then in Ag Ed, we've got some great indoor and some wonderful outdoor facilities as well. Just, you know, the classroom, that activity area that I had mentioned, and you could click, we'll move. Here we go. The greenhouse and aquaponics that we're doing provide a lot of opportunities for students, and get some lettuce on the school lunch line as well. And then we've got an 8-acre agronomy test plot out at Jackson Electric. Again, lots of partners, just wonderful, wonderful people to work with. We've got a 1-acre land lab over by the Jackson County Animal Shelter. Lots of great opportunities happening there. Looks like there's even we got somebody famous up in that picture there, even helping us out with the bees, so that's pretty neat. And again, it just shows, you know, the wonderful people in the community that are there to support our students. And these are, I could just keep because I got a number of students on this too, right? Lots of work-based learning opportunities for students. These are just the places for this school year so far that we currently have work-based learning placements. That doesn't even count some of the supervised agricultural experience projects that we've got as well. So these are formalized work-based learning places, and just, again, great to have people in the community working with students.
Right, so we just wanted to come up with some strengths, and I think the next slide is just some things we want to try to improve. So many students are doing work-based learning in the community, as you just saw. We have students earning industry-recognized certifications, and then we have 8 different classes where students are earning college credit, either with Western or CBTC.
So some challenges. One challenge that we're facing currently at the middle school is that our classes are only 33 minutes long. It is hard to get them in, get some instruction, and then get them with that hands-on learning. Us in this department with all the specials, we're working, trying to try different ways to teach the kids, whether that's a lesson one day and then hands-on learning the next. And we're still battling a little bit, but we're making it work.
And then the other thing is just the clubs, just being able to meet for a short period of time. We also have announcements and getting attendance done and that sort of thing. So it ends up being a pretty short amount of time that we meet in the morning, but I think maybe we'll be adding on to that time next year. I'm looking over at Kim here. So hopefully that happens.
Who's averting your eyes?
That's Heidi.
All right, so we'll try to go through this quickly here. So our vision is to adapt as we need to, like as the world changes, kind of adapt so that students are ready for a career in college. We want to increase the number of students doing work-based learning. I want to offer more college credit whenever possible. Increase those certificate opportunities. We want to definitely make it a point to further develop connections with our community partners. Further develop the ones that we have and then get new ones too. Especially with a couple of new guys here in the tech ed department, I want to see what they can come up with. Improve experiences for our students within the classroom, lab, and equipment updates, and then continue to work on curriculum, scope and sequence, standards, rubrics. We were working on that today and last Friday, so we're currently doing that.
And in Ag Ed, just continuing, again, to improve the facilities that we have, to improve some of the activities that we do, we have a student-formed cooperative that runs that test plot by Jackson Electric, and just continuing to work on improving how that is set up. And again, just the land lab activity area, we've got plans for all of those, the greenhouse, just improving those facilities and instructional areas for students. And then as Jaren just mentioned, right, continuing with that viable curriculum work and continuing to keep updating standards and developing rubrics, updating rubrics, and getting those scope and sequences in. And that is our presentation. Are there any questions?
I have one question. When Western Technical College, whatever, moved to town, gosh, 15, 20 years ago, weren't they doing like classes at the high school, like the welding and some stuff? Like night school maybe? Or
There was a time where there was a need. It was a grant funded by the Ho-Chunk Nation, also I think Judge Lister, and maybe some money from the school district, if I remember. And that helped us kind of renovate the lab because the teachers came in from Western and said, these booths aren't big enough. The ventilation's not good enough, that sort of thing. And that went on for like a year or two, and I think as far as the funding just kind of dried up. For the most part, it was bringing in people that kind of needed to change their life around, like a lot of people that have been in the prison system and that sort of thing, and trying to give them some skills that can make them be more successful and that sort of thing. We did have a few students that kind of asked to be part of it and were allowed in. So
I do remember that Western taught in the evenings
Yeah.
from the high school facility,
Yep.
right? For a
Yep,
while?
and I learned a lot from those guys. I still have connections with Kenrick Sorensen and some of the other guys that were here working, but
I think we got so many slots out of it. Like there were so many
Yeah.
slots for school district kids to be in. And
yeah, it's going back a ways, but I'm still like happy that happened because my facility is just so nice because they came in and they said, this has to be as nice as what we would have at Western and La Crosse, so the bigger booths and more welders and.
Kenrick taught that?
Yeah, he was one of them.
That would be something if we get the community ed piece off the ground, you could definitely come in at night, Nick, and teach. In your free time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Try.
I had no problem with it.
15, 20 years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, only positives came out of it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it just like, you know, I have a better ventilation system. My lungs are happier. You know.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So you talked about the addition of the VEX Club and that, I mean, technology is constantly changing, so what's on your mind for next? What's the next thing that you hope to be able to offer to the kids to kind of push their, you know, growth and what they might end up wanting to do career-wise?
With Perkins grant funds, I just purchased it is made by VEX actually, but it's like this palletizing unit that allows it to, it's like a robotic arm that can sort colors and pick up different things, and we haven't actually got it out and played with it yet, but I've got a class next trimester where they'll be doing that. So just trying to, what's happening out in industry, how can I bring this into the classroom and kind of show students that, you know, this is the kind of thing that you might be working with in the future. So that's one idea I have for you.
An interesting field trip is could be ProMat down in Chicago. I think it's odd years now. I can't remember, but it's the latest and greatest in material handling. It's all like high-tech robots sorting things, stacking things, moving things.
Yeah, I know somebody from town here that actually went there on a field trip for CVTC, and they showed me pictures or a video. I mean, I think it was a robotic arm moving a car around.
They had one last time I was down there that would spin a train axle, basically like a baton.
Cool.
And then, you know, they'll have ones that are picking up grains of rice.
I've been showing my students videos of what Tesla's got going on with their most recent robots, and it kind of freaks my students out a little bit because they're so human-like, and, you know, they're just, I don't know, the future's here.
How much collaboration do we have with other districts? Do you talk much to what they're doing and, you know, what might be coming within their school districts, kind of money that's being set aside for their technology programs in comparison to like how it is right now for you guys in the library?
Yeah, I've got connections really through my sport of curling. I've got connections with tech ed teachers in Holman, GET, and kind of over that direction. So we talk kind of like what they're doing, what I'm doing. Also the Skills USA gets us out there, going to competitions for super mileage vehicle. You just end up having these, you know, kind of downtime conversations with the other tech ed teachers to see what they're doing, what's new. There's an email group of all the tech ed teachers in the state. So there's constant, daily, are you on that yet? You gotta get on there. There's daily, like somebody asking a question, and, you know, the people always reply all for the answers, so you're always learning something new. What's the, you know, the best 3D printer to have that's going to last more than, what do you want to last more than? More than a few years? Yeah. So we're always trying to figure out like what's, you know, what the best company is to work with and who to work with for servicing things that you have, that sort of thing.
Brad, is there anything on the ag side, like as far as things that you've seen in other districts? I know you mentioned how generous the community is and that piece, but
yeah, you know, the ag teachers are heavily networked, like these guys talked about through our CTSOs. You know, I had an FFA leadership conference this weekend and just had some great conversations with fellow ag teachers and as advisors. Our in-servicing at that time was on developing SAEs, and so I mean, there's a lot, just a lot of different networking and a lot of different potential things coming down. Very similar, obviously, with tech ed, but AI is, you know, it was amazing the number of conversations I had with teachers about that, and just the, you know, the opportunities, and then also the challenges that brings. So I have a feeling that's really going to be a big driver here in the, it already is, but it's really going to become quite a big driver.
Just talking about field trips and stuff, the only thing I know about a little bit is like Osseo has just built a tech program that's in conjunction with CVTC. And I know they have night schools there, or night classes there with mechatronics and welding and a bunch of stuff. And I've actually wanted to go there and see what they have going on, but I mean, if you guys ever wanted to go up there sometime,
Yeah,
I know
sure.
I have some connections there and stuff. And I think that we have a nice enough facility that in Western in town already that maybe someday that could be a possibility, you know.
I'm assuming there's some empty rooms down at Western. I don't know, but
Oh, like,
down here in town.
I have no clue.
There are.
But I'm just saying that they don't have, they have classrooms there. I
Right,
believe,
there's no
but
welding booths
Not
there
like,
or anything.
Is the tech ed teacher at Osseo still a Black River Falls resident? No, for a long time. I would try to get him to apply when we would have openings.
I'm not sure who he is.
Okay.
I know Franz is a guy I know up there. I can't remember his last name. He used to work at DNS years ago.
Yeah, I'd love to go up there.
And they just built it like 3-4 years ago. And I don't know, just seems like, I know that they stopped, CVT actually stopped and talked to me last week, and they're doing like they're like targeting like business and stuff for like electronic stuff and like hold on.
Yeah, we're in Western's like geographic area, but we can transcribe courses with CVTC, correct me if I'm wrong, as long as Western doesn't offer it. Correct. Okay.
Right, correct. It's
I
a
know
little
that-
territorialness, but it's not completely exclusive, right?
I know like we have a kid that works for me that he's a senior in Independence, did like a youth apprenticeship last year. Now this year he's going to Osseo, and he's basically in tech school.
Okay.
He goes to Independence for like 1 hour in the morning, and then he goes there and he'll have a tech ed degree when he graduates high school, as well as a high school degree. So
Yeah, the program at Osseo is kind of like an academy, right, where they take multiple classes throughout the year and they have it prescribed so that they can get to that certificate. And right now, Western doesn't have anything like it, so it's a possibility that we could partner with them to start sending kids up there. I actually have the card for the guy that's running that just
from CVTC,
that's running the Osseo program.
probably Franz, you know, it's big stuff.
It's awesome. It's an awesome program.
Oh,
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time, gentlemen. I appreciate you coming.
And Brad, I'll let you know, I ran into Joe Williams, so we'll be in touch often this spring, so.
Thank you very
This weather cannot be good bee weather.
Yes, we're losing a lot of these right now, a lot of these. All right, we are back on our normally ordered agenda. Next, we have gifts and grants.
So I'd like to recognize Security Financial Bank. Last week at one of our basketball games, they donated a check for $850. They have the Tiger mascot debit card, so when you go get a debit card from Security Financial Bank, you can get a plain bank card, or you can get a Tiger mascot one. And if you pay the $10 for the Tiger mascot one, they make a $25 donation to the district. So that is going to the athletic department. Oh my God, that's it for gifts and grants. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have that in my binder. I apologize. We also had a very generous donation from an individual family, our Adaptive Sports League group that was started. This is their first year competing. Betsy Settlebauer made a donation of $1,000 to help support that work. And as a new group in the district, that is a fantastic financial donation. I apologize for not mentioning it sooner.
The Adaptive Sports League has a few
They have some
upcoming
upcoming
events.
games, yep, they sure do.
So $1,000.
They do not need your approval, so more for your information.
All right, next we have our open enrollment class size discussions, both 6.2 and 6.3.
Sure. So part of the state open enrollment rules, each school board must, in January of the previous year, determine how many spots they have available for open enrollment seats for students that don't live in our attendance area but want to attend. We have came up with the following recommendations for class sizes down at the bottom, the 18-1 for 4K, and then 20-1 for K3, and then 24 and 26 as we move forward. We do not not have policy that says this is a maximum. This is a guideline, a recommendation. We'd like them to stay within that. One of our most significant challenges, I'll talk about 4K right now this year. We started the school year with 18 and 17 in each of our areas of 4K, and now it is January and we have 20 in all of the sections and 20, there was 20. Please tell us the numbers.
We have 19, 19, and 21.
There you go. So even though we say 18 is where we'd like to be, once those classroom communities have been established and one more student moves in, another student moves into another class, it's very hard to rip those classes apart and make them back down to the sizes of 18 to 1. And so what we've decided to do with 4K this year, we are leaving the two sections at 19, and any additional 4K students that come will go and we'll make one room significantly larger, and we hired another full-time aide to be in that classroom to help support that work. So those are recommendations, not absolute hard and fast maximums. Those are not board policy. These are recommendations. And so when you look at the student to teacher ratio, you can see that there is room for open enrollment into each one of those areas. They are not right abutted against where our recommendations are. So that means that we do have room for general education open enrollment. If you go to the next one, we are also required to determine, special ed. Yeah, please. We are also required to determine how many spaces we have available for special education open enrollment. I'm trying to keep scrolling. There's a table that goes along with it. There we go. So even though we say that our special education seats are full, I will give you the numbers. This year, our Forest Street caseloads average they're under 10, which is a little bit lower than usual, but Forest Street is also the building where many of our referrals happen. So kids are identified throughout that school year. Red Creek case sizes are very manageable this year. Our middle school and high school are both with extremely, extremely large special education caseloads. It is problematic because we have lost middle school. We had a teacher resign. You will be accepting that resignation due to a family scenario needed to leave. And so we already had large case sizes, and then we're down a teacher for half the year, which means those case sizes get even larger. The high school, you recall, we could not hire anyone, and we ended up with a virtual teacher who both Mrs. Penza and Mr. Erickson tell us is doing a really, really good job. That still is not our preference. Even though our caseloads are large, we cannot say there's no room at the end. We don't have any room for special education students. When a student chooses to open enroll and they are a student with an identified disability, we have to first get a copy of that student's IEP, and we have to read all of the services that student needs in order to access their free and appropriate public education. And then we look at the exact services that are called for in that IEP and determine if we have room to make that work without having to hire additional staff. So even though we say our caseloads are as large as we're comfortable with them being, when a student with a disability open enrolls in, we still have to request that IEP and go through each one of the services that they are provided. So just by saying that no, we don't have room does not mean that we would not accept a single special education open enrollment. It just means that there's an additional layer of analysis.
Do you know how many we have currently?
Yeah, I don't know the number, and I'm sorry, Melanie's got a bad case of the stomach flu through her family this evening. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's, I bet it's so we have 20% of our population that is special education. I bet we have less than 10 that are open enrollment. So.
Related to class sizes, Christine, I should have thought of this to ask you on the spot. Do you know what our early childhood screening days, what our 4K enrollment was that last week versus a year ago?
I don't. I can work on that and see if I can get that number to you, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm just wondering if we're projecting higher or lower. This year's 4K class is lower than it has been historically, but I don't know if that's...
Our enrollment as is the rest of the state, enrollment is definitely down. People are just simply not having 5 children as often anymore, so we are definitely declining. Some people are not having 5 children. So those do both need board approval simply because that is part of state statute that you establish those open enrollment criteria.
Move to approve it.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Just as we talk about attendance an awful lot, I just wanted you to know that really the only reason that a school can say no to an open enrollment is because of not being able to accommodate the IEP. And districts have a choice to write into their open enrollment policy that if a student is truant in their previous district, that we would not have to accept them. And we haven't done that. We have enough attendance problems with our students that live here. We also, if a student is open enrolled into our district and is truant, we can terminate that open enrollment status. So I just wanted you to know that that's really the only one area where we have any flexibility when it comes to accepting open enrolled students.
Next, we have the WASB resolutions. So again, this board has not traditionally voted in favor or against any of these, but we have the ability to. If anyone has strong feelings that they want the board to vote in favor of one of these, then we send that information on to Michaela. Is not here tonight, but we'll pass that on to her. Otherwise, if you have individual thoughts on one of those, you are welcome to reach out to Michaela and let her know. Otherwise, she is free to vote as she sees fit. And people will speak on behalf of these at the convention as well. So.
And this happens tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
So if you are going to reach out to
starts
her,
very soon.
timing matters.
Is that where she is now?
No, she's ill tonight, but is,
Hopefully recovering in time to go to the convention.
there's some serious traveling.
I'm seeing none, so I'm going to continue on. Okay. All right. Childcare update.
Sure, just wanted to let everyone know that Kent has been working diligently to try to get a hold of an engineer to draw up our plans, because our plans need to be approved by the state before we can start punching any holes into the concrete walls over at Gephardt. He has just delays in accessing people, so we have another company that's coming this Friday to take a look at it again and see if we can get moving forward. We know that we are not going to be able to complete that work as quickly as we were originally hoping, but everybody that we talked to, the inspectors, they really believe that creating those second means of access to the outside world from each one of those rooms and some interior doors is really going to be the bulk of our work, along with a playground area. I'm not sure if we've talked about it at this meeting before, but we're not planning on bringing back to life the old playground that's at the traditional Gebhardt School playground. Right now, the food pantry really uses that parking lot very heavily for their pickup and drop off of food. And so the child care center will build a much smaller child care center along the side there, because there's already a fence that runs against the Blazinski property. And then there's the back side of the school. We'll fence in an area of that and have a playground appropriately sized for a child care center over on that side, just so that when we were talking about asphalt and stuff, that parking lot / playground really needs to be redone, but we aren't planning on using that as a playground surface. So. Any questions about that right now?
Right. Next is the wrestling co-op. So Alma Center is interested in joining with us.
And as I said in my notes, it is also time to renew the hockey co-ops. Traditionally, the board has approved when we first established a co-op and then has been okay with me signing the updated agreements. That is your choice. But both boys and girls hockey are up for renewal, and we are establishing new co-ops in both boys and girls wrestling with the Alma Center School District. So. Andy, Mr. Osgard has checked, and he believes that so when we co-op with another school, we take on their entire school enrollment. Even if they have one wrestler, we then have to count all of the students that attend their school for the division of where we compete, and he believes that adding Alma Center will not change the wrestling division with which we compete. So, feels comfortable making that recommendation to you.
So I will move to approve the new and renewal co-ops.
I'll second.
Right. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The blast report?
Yes. Mr. Jar to step up and just give you a little highlights. I think our BLAST program has quickly established itself as a fantastic resource in our community. So since they were there and visited, we wanted to give Brandon the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about it.
For sure. So we're already in year 3 of 5 in our funding cycle. And because it was year 3, we had a monitoring from the DPI, and they gave us a report, which you probably looked through a little bit. Their report ranks us 1 through 4, with 1 being an area of strength and 4 being corrective action. We did not have any 4s in our monitoring report, but I did want to go through and just give you some highlights of our 1s and some areas of growth that are 3s. So one of the 1s that we got for doing a great job, the program provides academic and other services to at least a minimum number of students as outlined in the grant application's terms and conditions. And so we receive a funding tier based on how many students attend or how many we believe are going to attend. And so we applied for the grant at average daily attendance of 71, and we are at 94, so we're operating over capacity in that area. It's not uncommon to have 100 students at BLAST K through 5 on any given night. Under E, further down, the program participates regularly to engage in at least one type of academic enrichment program. In the notes that the team wrote, the collaboration between day school teachers and BLAST staff is evident in the academic enrichment programming. So we collaborate with our day school teachers, and a lot of the day school teachers are BLAST workers, and so it makes it quite easy to continue the enrichment process and academic standard that we would have during the school day at our BLAST program after school. E2, the program provides at least 2 additional types of services, programs, or activities to contribute to overall student success. Beyond academic enrichment, students have access to diverse variety of programs and activities. They have lots of choices. We've spent time developing what these choices are, and students are able to kind of pick and choose where to go. One area in E5 for a growth is more choice by students in what they would like to do. It's one of the areas that was ranked as a 3, so not an area that we need to fix, but one that is suggested. And Chrissy Rausch, who's our program coordinator, is all over that. And even before we sat down to talk with our monitors, she knew that that was one of the areas that she personally wanted to work on. And then also under F2, more, it talks about transportation. Right now, we aren't able to provide busing. That would take up about 90% of our budget to bus students afterwards. And so families are, most of them, all of them, almost all of them, come and pick up their kids after BLAST completes at between 5:20 and 5:30. The process for it is really smooth. We do offer, we have offered gas cards to families in need, and one area of fix that they gave us is to not offer gas cards and find a different route so that transportation is not a barrier. And so we have worked with the taxi service that already has an account through the school. And so that is an option for families if they need. Under F4, the program environment is welcoming and supportive. That one's just always good to hear. And one last one's H1, evidence of collaboration between program and day school staff again. So working together with our day school staff and our BLAST programming. On a given night, there's usually about 10 school day teachers and then another 10 high school staff workers at the BLAST program. Any questions?
Just a few comments that I want the board to hear. We've already talked about the next time. So you said you're 3 of 5. The next time we write the grant, we will write it for a higher population, right? We will step up because the community clearly has shown that there's a need for the after-school programming. And then there's the transportation piece. We struggle with that over the years, and we've talked all the way around this so many times. So when we offer our summer school programming, we don't currently provide transportation for it, but there were years when I was an elementary principal for sure. So 15 years ago, we would offer full bus routes in the summer, and we'd have 0 riders or 2 riders or 1 rider. And so we are such a big geographic district, you can't just send out like 2 buses opposite directions, because we're going all the way to Hickston and all the way to Hatfield and down to Millston, right? We just are so big geographically, and yet for the program, transportation is not supposed to be a barrier. Sometimes in our conversations regarding after-school activities, we have some people that think if we ran a late bus, that would dramatically increase our participation as well. And yet, when we had youth tutors who had the Ho-Chunk vans that could drive people home, that didn't necessarily increase that. And so I guess if you have thoughts or ideas as to how we could really pin down, is transportation the barrier, or isn't it, or is it for how many people, and what ideas do we have? Because the taxi service is, because we have to tell DPI we have a plan, that's what it is. But seriously, if 50 kids said I need a taxi to get home, wow, right? So that's just really always been a struggle for us, because I think it's an easy excuse, I can't because of transportation. And then in some instances when we've been able to remove that barrier, we haven't necessarily seen people jumping at it. So if you have thoughts on that, we're always wide open, particularly before we write that next grant, because clearly they're gonna be looking for a transportation plan in that next grant application as well.
Is it something that you could put when a parent signs their kids up for in need of after-school programming, like in the contract, say something about we need to know busing. If your child you will be charged for X amount, you know, in that hourly whatever cost, because then it makes them be committed because I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's just a.
It's a good question. There's a part in the grant where it says, do you solicit funds of any kind? So we would have to check yes in that scenario. It's not like a yes goes.
And I've seen a number of programs do it kind of the reverse. So I charge Brandon $100, but if his kids use it, he gets all $100 back.
Right.
But if Brandon said he was going to use it and he doesn't use it, then we're keeping Brandon $100.
Right, that's an option.
About the ADA average daily attendance, and where we're at the 94 when we're scheduled for 71. We also have a wait list of 40 to 50 kids trying to get it.
And is the BLAST program being effective for those kids who are behind? Do you find?
Yeah, so that's part of the grant process too, is we have to test the ones that are there, the most significant amount of days, and progress monitor them by the end of the year to see what gains them. I like to think so. When I cruise through there at 3:30 after the buses are all gone, our instructional coach and our interventionists are working one-on-one with students in fluency. So,
It's a good opportunity. That it's just that transportation piece that we really struggle with. So, thank you, Brandon.
All right, that concludes the 6 series. The 7 series is short. We have employment information. Most notably, we have the retirement. Remind me again how we deny.
Just to leave the
throw the letter away.
Okay.
30 and a half years of service, fantastic service by Jill M. Collins over there, and so she's going to leave an incredible hole, and the learning curve for somebody to take her role is going to be extremely, extremely steep. For years, the district has been, I think, well respected for being a low spender, and while yet still doing amazing things for our students and our families. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens by having somebody really smart and really good at their job and willing to constantly learn more. When people ask obnoxious questions like, but couldn't we take from here and here? And she's like, no, Shelley, we really couldn't. Or we can't, but we could probably do this, right? She's just done exceptional things for us. So very, very, very excited for her, and very sad to lose her as a colleague. So, with the board's approval of her retirement, not resignation like today, retirement as of June 30th, I'd like to get that posted soon, because I just have no idea what that candidate looks like. And clearly it's going to take someone with a pretty big toolbox, and Jill has already volunteered to help walk with that person for a while and do some cross-training, and I would greatly appreciate that as well.
We appreciate your advance notice and your willingness to stick around and kind of handle things.
Lot to do yet in the next few months, so absolutely.
Gotta finish strong, Sam.
Finish strong.
Like you've done every day, Jill, right? Like you've done every day.
You don't get to start cleaning out your office yet.
There's a lot of purple crap in there that could probably help, but. I do want to highlight though that I talked about losing a special ed teacher mid-year. We were lucky to hire 2 teachers that are recent graduates. So they graduated from college in December, just finishing their student teaching, and we already snagged them mid-year. Those are sometimes really tough to fill, and so we are glad to have, bring on some certified teachers halfway through the year. Mr. Murphy.
Admin team decided we don't want to accept that retirement.
Well, neither did Brad,
Right.
so.
You don't get a vote.
Nonetheless, we wanted to give you a round of applause for your meeting.
Yes! Yes, I think everyone is about to find out how many roles Jill serves.
Right. With that said, I will move to accept these.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Jill gets to retire
In a few months.
in a few months. I will call council in between and see how we. All right, and there, dovetail right into the Jill portion of the agenda. So you have the monthly expenditures in your packet, as always. If there are no questions, looking for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly expenditures.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we covered 9.2. 9.3, so I want to make sure everyone understands, or I guess the 4 board members that are here tonight. We are going with Neola, and it's a complete, I'll call it audit and rewrite of every single policy in the district. It is just gripping reading. So we are going to see a lot of policies, and thanks to my fellow policy committee members, it's a lot of reading. It's bonus meetings. We get to meet more times this spring than I think we have the entire time I've been on the board. And because of that, the board is going to get a ton of policies before them, hopefully every meeting, because that means we're getting through the work. This is handled the same, that there will always be a first and a second reading. If there are questions between meetings, please reach out to Shelley or I, and we can tell you what the policy committee said, or we can share information or whatever. But we're going to do these by consent agenda, so we're only going to discuss any that you have specific questions on, right? Otherwise, again, as we've always done in the past, we're not going to do individual motions. We're going to do them all at once.
I just have a question, Brad.
Yep, absolutely.
Policy 1.9.25, the philosophy of the board. And we have, it's in the first paragraph, second line, where it says members of the board are chosen by the citizens. I just think the word should have said elected.
Okay.
Anyone else have an issue with that, or
Seems accurate.
Is there any time it's obviously done, it's not through an election?
Appointed or elected, maybe.
Appointed.
Or elected or appointed, probably elected first, but.
Right.
But the citizens wouldn't appoint.
Yeah, the
only
citizens
board
select,
members would
we
appoint,
appoint.
so.
Because that's what we're doing.
Elected or board appointed, I guess.
System is created by him, it's probably.
So is there any process that would ever not be an election, I guess, because if there is, then we should just leave it as chosen probably, but if there is something, everything is through election then.
We could say chosen by citizens through an election to represent them,
Correct.
get both words in there,
Okay.
if that makes everyone happy.
And this is, there you go, that is policy work in a nutshell right there.
My favorite.
And then there was an board policy 1.9.25, the vacancies. On the back side of the first page, the second paragraph in the highlighted green board, the D is missing. I believe the BOARD.
Oh, yep.
Is it
Thank
the-
you. Same one, I think.
Same one,
yeah. Not riding any hogs.
In case you, is that all you had, Jeanette?
That's
all
the
I-
same
Okay.
that I emailed about.
But you wanted to talk about the voting one, correct?
No, I'm good. I had asked some questions before.
Did everyone catch that the policy committee is recommending a change in previous practice? Previous boards decided that in order, you could participate electronically in a meeting, but if you wanted to vote, you had to physically be present. The policy committee is recommending to the board a change that you can participate and vote electronically or virtually, except for any closed session materials. So just so everyone recognizes, that is a change being recommended by them.
No questions on it? I
That
think
was
that,
like 10 hours of work down to
Right,
two little typos, got it.
yep. Yeah, I think the voting one was the one that probably took the most discussion. All right, so we're not approving those tonight. That is just the first read. We will be approving those next meeting, or next month, I should say.
So Shelley, when we see those for the second time, then I'm assuming the green highlights will disappear and it'll be just the small changes.
Correct.
Yeah, so these come as a draft, and then, because we don't wanna finalize all the formatting and stuff, or I should say, we don't want to have Shelley finalize all the formatting and everything, and then we make a bunch of changes, and she has to go back and clean that up. So these are all draft, and hopefully, we would have found the spelling errors before final, but yeah, so you gotta proofread them all again for next month.
Sure. Can we anticipate another first reading
You
next
will.
month?
Yep, the policy
So-
committee is meeting February 4th, and they have another whole series ready for you. And there's others working on some policy series, so we'll be ready. So the
Yeah.
policy committee is gonna meet each month, so they should have a whole series for you each month, is what should happen.
Yeah, so going forward, like February meeting, we should have a first reading of the 1 series and the second reading of the 0 series. The following month, it should be first reading of the 2 series and final reading of the 1 series, and so on and so forth until we get through all of them. So
And there are 9 series, if you weren't clear.
Which series does the absenteeism?
I'm guessing that's students, and so they have a different numbering system. Our system would be the 400s. I think theirs, it might be the 6,000s. I'm not positive. I'll have to look for it.
all right, next we have meeting minutes to approve. I think just 1 month. I can't remember now. Yeah, just December's.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, district admin report.
Sure, just a few quick things. First of all, you probably saw the notifications that we've had, unfortunately, 2 Thursdays where there's been a threat at different buildings. I just want to make sure that the board understands that when we say we followed our threat assessment protocol, when we, it is definitely not a me, when we get to the end of that protocol, if there is still a threat, we are closing school, period, end of story. So anytime that we say we have followed the protocol and school will go on as planned, that means that likely the sheriff's department has been to the house and looked if there's access to weapons. We've already gone through all of the steps in the procedure. One of our most significant challenges is it's not the time, nor the place, nor the topic that anyone wants to joke about, right? There's not one tiny thing that is acceptable about a threat to do harm at school. And families, very understandably so, want every last detail. And we cannot share. We just simply cannot share. We can't tell people what the threat said. We can't tell people exactly what the resolution was. We just can't share. I always lean on sharing more, and the sheriff's department and our other partners say, Les, you don't have to say that, you have to say that. I'm like, I hear you say I don't have to say that, and I'm gonna get 50 responses from the email that I send out with people asking me these questions. So I just want you guys to know, it is not because we're trying to make light of any situation or because we don't care. The second you get wording out there, then you've got copycat stuff happening. The second you give too much information, someone says, well, that's not even a threat, this is a threat, right? It just creates all of the yuck. The two incidents, it just so happened that there were 2 Thursdays in a row. They were as different as night and day. One was, a student on social media. Another one was a kid who quite literally, made him a really, really, really boneheaded decision while he was using the bathroom at an elementary school, for crying out loud, right? There's so many things wrong with it. There's not one thing in common. It is kids making really, really, really poor choices. We recognize the weight of those threats. We would never, ever, ever not follow through. We made a commitment to families that we're going to let you know, and believe you me, when Mrs. Penza and I were on the phone at 11:30 that night, we're like, we have to notify people. And we knew the sheriff's department had been there multiple times and was still out there talking to them. We knew there was no chance that student was going to cause danger in the morning. I didn't want to do a phone call because if the phone rings at 6 in the morning and it's me, every family's like, no school today, right? So I just want you to know that we try to go through all of those things and we share as much as we reasonably think that we can. And our law enforcement partners are constantly telling us we overshare. So if you're getting questions about it, I know. I wish we could just tell people, this is what was said, this is exactly how we handled it, this is what we believe to be true, but that's just not information that is for public consumption. So if you ever have specific questions, you certainly can call, you can ask. I'm open to feedback, but just know that there's only so much information that can be shared or should be shared publicly. Okay, so I just wanted you all to know that. Second, the Ann Chapman article that was in the packet, all about school referendums. There's a lot of messaging around the state that if so many schools are having to go to school referendum to provide basic services and keep their doors open, perhaps that could be a wake-up call to legislatures who create the budget, right? Instead of making districts spend time, effort, and money to talk to their community about a referendum, perhaps they could change the funding formula because so many school districts are being successful with referendum. That is a local community's way of saying, we support you, we want you to do great things for our kids. So I just thought it was an interesting read as we talked about us being a low spender and what that could possibly mean for us. The last piece, and I was really hopeful I would never have to talk to you about flooring in Forest Street Elementary again, but I do. So we are scheduled to have our 3rd install of the Nora flooring. And I don't know that we're gonna allow them to reinstall it again because we are still getting shrinkage in one direction. The company, Nora, keeps saying it is an install problem, and when Keith from Myron comes and we measure it, unless our installers are absolutely genius, they have installed every one of them in a way that the line of shrinkage is a perfect line, not random around all of the seams. And so we're saying it's something wrong with the product, not the install. And of course, both are fighting very aggressively. We had said that we wanted Forest Street replaced and we were going to tolerate the high school as it was. So they came out and they measured the gaps because Nora is supposed to be what's the word?
Monolithic.
Monolithic, thank you. It's supposed to be monolithic flooring where you're not supposed to be able to see the seams. You very clearly can. We were going to tolerate the high school because it still looked very good. Those gaps are widening as well, and it is absolutely not supposed to be moving once it's been installed. Nora is telling us we're the only school that's having this problem. I've talked to another superintendent who's having this problem with Nora flooring. So it is very possible that we will end up with Myron in a lawsuit with Nora over the flooring, and we're just gonna hang out with what we have down right now until we figure out who's paying for something else to go down. So we haven't paid for all of the flooring, we are not sending another dime, and we are not gonna allow them to just put in different Nora because the product just hasn't performed. And just to clear my conscience, because to be honest, our first referendum project in 14, when Jill and I started the second project, we were like, we have to do something different with the flooring because the flooring product that was the most recommended at the time that is all over the high school, I don't think holds up near as well as we were sold that it was going to. So when they recommended Nora, we said to Kent, do some homework, call all the references. He called, had fantastic references. Apparently there's 2 different thicknesses of Nora, and the thickness that they are now putting out is less than the one that everyone had before when all the reference calls were made. And so the thickness of the rubber flooring, we just think is not suitable for schools. So there will definitely be more to come, and for now we are gonna sit with what we have and just hold on to the money that we have and let Myron and our other partners keep advocating and arguing this one out. That flooring has been a 3-summer story now, yes. So, questions about that? Super frustrating. And when they tell us we don't even know what we would recommend instead, is what the architect said. Because the LVT didn't go great, and now the Nora's not going great. We might be back to waxing tiles again, I guess, I don't know, but we'll see. It takes a beating, there's no doubt. Like flooring in an elementary school, it takes a serious beating, but they have to make products that are better than this. So. That is all I have for my report.
Thank you. WASB, the convention is this weekend, or it starts tomorrow. Michaela will be in attendance. Any other workshops? Other connection opportunities, I mentioned the Adaptive Sports League has some events coming up. If you haven't made it to one of those, definitely try to make one of those. The other connection opportunity we have is we are looking for a board member. So reminder that appointment process, I shouldn't say the application closes, is it 4 p.m. already on Wednesday? So we are still taking applications, and that, again, reminder, we have a special board meeting at 6 p.m. 1 week from tonight, and we will be appointing that person, and then we have other agenda items we'll address after.
And connection items, February 12th is the district-wide family night out at Bruce Mount. So if you are interested, there's s'mores to be made, crafts to be made, sledding hills to be supervised, all manner of fun if you are interested. Wednesday, February 12th.
Right. Any future agenda items?
Yeah, I'd like to put something on the agenda to talk about potential referendum.
Okay.
And dollars associated with
Okay.
that. You know, Shelley's talked a lot about being a low spender, and I think we all know that if we want to invest more into the education of our kids, that we're probably got to move away from that mindset of always being a low spender. So I think getting something put together to potentially put on the spring ballot next spring, not 2025, but 2026. I'd like to have the board start discussing that and get something out there so our community could at least make a decision. So,
right. That will be, months in the making.
Yeah,
So we can start that.
Yep.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I move to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, subpara 1, subpara C, for the purpose of discussing administrative contract renewals, and 19.85 subpara E, authorization to conduct business, which requires some negotiation. This is a roll call vote.
Michaela Conlon View, Casey Weiss,
yes.
Jeanette Simonson,
Yes.
Nick Helsted,
Yes.
if Dakar Memon is not here, and Brad Dobbs.
Yes. All right, we are in closed session. The board will take a 5-minute recess. Our visitors to